Do you actually have to be on cocaine to be on this podcast?
What's up, everybody? You're listening to yet another edition of Cocaine Willie, the official KState representative on the College Huddle. I'm your commissioner, Bob Trollsby, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, the good chef, Andre Napier, and the international man of mystery is gone yet again, and he went back to revisit the gravesite of the 2025 K-State football season at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. Would you go back had you gone, Chef? Had you gone to the game? Do you think you would ever go back to
Yes,
Aviva?
I mean, I would. Everything I've heard is that stadium and the venue, the place, the location, Ireland was awesome. I would go back. I don't know what kind of sporting events they put on there. Obviously, a rugby stadium, but do they do international matches there? I mean, I would go back for that, like an international rugby match, like if South
Gaelic
Africa
football.
New Zealand was there. Maybe if it's a soccer match, hell, I'd go watch some Ireland soccer. But yeah, I would go back. I would love to visit. I would just let's say that I would love to be there.
I think as someone who went to the game, I think I would go back to Aviva Stadium for Gaelic football. Or rugby sevens, perhaps. I don't think I would want to go see K-State football play there again, unless
that's fair.
We're just really good. But it feels like that place is cursed for us.
Are they doing more football at this specific stadium this year, or I don't know what the schedule is for Ireland this year? I feel like it's
TCU. It's TCU in North Carolina.
Right.
Bill Belichick.
Now I remember. But there's another KU's playing in Germany or England?
London. And is it Wembley? Okay. Are they playing Wembley?
So
that feels like a big venue.
There's no way that
Arizona State.
They can't let KU in Wembley. They can't let that happen. I don't want that to happen. That's a big feather in the cap to play at Wembley.
It is at Wembley Stadium, September 19th. The Union Jack.
Good on you, KU.
Classic.
Good on you. Good on you, KU. I won't give you credit for that one, but that's as far as I go. That would be sick. That would be pretty sweet. That's big
I'm with you on that. Before we jump into the episode, we are going to give a shout out to our first sponsor, Auntie May's Parlor, located at 616 North 12th Street in the heart of Aggieville, in the top corner of your screen here. If you're watching on YouTube or the video version of Spotify, if you have that, this QR code will take you, wherever that is, to the website. It'll take you to a full list of their upcoming events. It'll take you to their cocktail of the week, which is this week. Cocktail of the week, the Silver Spoon. Throughout the month of March, every Silver Spoon purchase provides $1 in support to the Center of Hope Warming Center. Great cause right there for the Silver Spoon cocktail. I do not see what is in it. It looks like it's Saint Germain, London dry gin, some cucumber, and some lime. So maybe like a gimlet situation.
Gin, dry gin, tough. That is a tough drink to swallow. Not gonna lie.
Not a dry gin guy, huh?
Probably bottom tier of all alcoholic drinks and straight liquors. Is that considered a spirit? What is a spirit?
I mean, yeah. I believe that's a spirit.
that's a bottom tier spirit. It's like behind ghouls, goblins, all those things that could be considered, things of the night. It is bad.
I mean, I like gin.
Probably top tier spirit.
I like gin. I also like a gimlet. And this is similar to gimlet, but you've got Saint Germain instead of the simple syrup. And a little bit of cucumber to add to some freshness. I think it's going to provide you with there. So I personally, I would be a fan of this. I might have to make it at home. to be honest. I might have to.
I would
have
try.
to bust this out this weekend.
I would try just for, Annie Mae's Parlor, the greatest parlor in all of Manhattan, Kansas, where you should be on game days and weekdays alike.
Indeed. And they also have all sorts of events like live music, comedy, and bingo night. They've got trivia smackdown. They've got Therapie cocktails and pie. They've got Stiff Middle Fingers, Headlight Rivals, and the Touchdowns are playing Thursday, March 5th, 2026. So they've got all sorts of stuff going on there. Even if you scroll down to the very, very bottom of the page, they have a Spotify playlist featuring all of the artists that have played at Auntie Mae's through the years. So definitely check out www.auntiemays.com. You'll get that full list of their upcoming events. You'll get their cocktail menu. You'll see everything that they have going on there. And you won't be disappointed when you go down to the Parlor. So check them out, 616 North 12th Street, auntiemays.com. And check out all the stuff they've got going on there. So this is our 200th episode of Cocaine Willie, kind of burying the lead there. Shout out to us. We survived for this long. I was crunching some numbers here. So when you look at podcasts that have made it to 200 episodes, what that means is we are well under 5% of all podcasts that have reached this milestone out of the millions of podcasts that are out there. Only about 400 or 500,000 podcasts out there in the ether are active, meaning they've published an episode in the last 30 to 90 days. And the average podcast publishes fewer than 20 episodes. So we've 10x'd the average podcasts that are out there. So congratulations to us. Going to give myself a pat on the back here real quick. We are in a small fraction of shows, and if we get to 300 plus episodes like Scott has, shout out to Scott. We all love our friend Scott. We told him we'd give him a shout out tonight.
My God,
he's in rarefied air. That would mean he's at the less than 1% mark, I think, based on how many he's published. So pretty cool stuff there. Also, we'd be remiss not to give a kudos and a shout out to our other co-host, Fireball Matt, who's traveling the world right now. So as he's wont to do. So shout out to him. Wouldn't be able to do it without you guys.
He deserves some. I wouldn't say overwhelming. Even an overwhelming minority. Really, my boy Matt. Third wheel, if we're being honest. This is the A team. I'm just kidding. I'm literally just kidding. Matt, integral part to the program. Can't wait for him to be back. But 200 episodes, that is literally, where we started to where we're at now. This is a total night and day. I think we invested into the podcasting world. We took it serious, not too serious. But I think we deserve, we deserve our flowers at some point for just the longevity. I mean, it takes a lot to do things like what we're doing. I mean, dog days, bad times. I mean, not a lot of people would, put up with what we're doing. And I think we deserve our flowers.
It is a lot of work to do this thing. It is a hobby, and at the same time, I enjoy doing it. But it does take work. It takes preparation time on my part to put together the outlines. It takes time to get things published and social media posts and things edited. So it's a labor of love. It's fun, and I don't spend too much time on it, but I spend enough to where it does kind of eat into at least a few hours every Tuesday, every week. So we do it for the fans. We enjoy interacting with you guys. We enjoy you guys commenting and replying and getting involved on Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this or watching this. And if you do enjoy the show, if you like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like on the videos. That does help. Matt's been doing work on his end too to get some old basketball games published on our page as well. So go to the Cocaine Willie YouTube site. You'll see some of those old games. You'll see all of our episodes, at least from season 2 on, when we started doing the video version. It's been a lot of fun. So for our 200th episode, because there's not a whole lot to talk about, we're not going to belabor it with our terrible men's basketball team. We could talk a little bit about the women's team, but again, they're kind of on a trajectory for the WBIT at this point. If we're being optimistic, and they've been a lot more fun to watch. To be perfectly clear about that, but it's not like I'm going to go and dissect Nick Toth's press availability from yesterday. So for today, for this episode, what we're going to do for our 200th episode special, not featuring Matt, we're going to be AD for the day. So I've got a list of questions or scenarios to go through, and I want to have this become kind of a discussion point. And for those of you who are listening or watching to this, add your commentary too. So we want to see you in the YouTube comments and the tweets, in the replies, talking about what your moves would be if you were AD at KState for a day. So, and maybe it's not necessarily for a day. We're not timekeeping this necessarily or gatekeeping how much time you're the AD. This is just if you're in the shoes of Gene Taylor, how are you approaching these scenarios is how I want to think about this. So my first question is, what is your first move if you're the AD at K-State? This is open-ended. It could be anything.
I think I have to make the perfect basketball hire. Obviously, that is my number one job, is making sure the people that are below me really know what they're doing, are all invested into Kansas State 100%, and are trying to make the university and the athletic department a notch above everybody else. I think a place like Kansas State, especially on the football end, if I'm taking over for Gene, I think he did a phenomenal job on the football end. But I think he really has to nail this basketball hire. And I think that I'm the right guy for the job and I can do it. But that is my number one objective, is having the right staff. And they're not only are they coaches, and I give a lot of flack for, Tang and wanting to make better men out of his players and stuff. And, that is a crucial part, but they are brand ambassadors for the university. They are the figureheads of what your athletic department is. So that is the number one objective. I mean, we can get silly. There's silly things that we could add, but I think realistically, that is the number one thing that I'm doing as the AD. And I'm going to do
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Let's assume the basketball hire has been made and it is the perfect hire. Mm-hmm. Then what is your next move as AD? I mean, what's the oldest? When's the last time Bramlage got an upgrade? And obviously court has been done. Right. I think they did some box, like some of the Loge boxes within the last 10 to 15 years, maybe. But
does that the connection between Bramlage and Bill Snyder Family Stadium, that like alumni,
Shamrock.
The Shamrock, is that all connected within?
It is.
Oh man, that's a sweet deal right there. I don't know. Also, I think you have a stadium question in this. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that would be like, which stadium facility upgrade would you target first? So
also, I don't know where the revenue of, rev sharing and where the revenue is going to come from into the future. And I don't know how a lot of schools are going to handle that. But if you're going to be, obviously Utah took a lot of flack for what they did. I don't know if I would go that far. But
the private equity.
Yeah, the private equity part. But does the AD handle that? I don't know if that's a university president thing. But, somewhere to generate revenue for your athletic department, whether it's, sponsors, I would be the first one with patches. To be honest, I think the NCAA just granted that.
Yes.
I'm doing that. I'm 100% doing that. And, if you're really, really about it, depending on the sponsor that you have, I'm making everything customizable. So let's say it is I don't even know what brand would I want. Do you have UDFs in Kansas?
I've never heard of that, but I haven't lived in Kansas in
United
10 years.
Dairy Farmers. United Dairy Farmers.
I'm sure there's something. Yeah, I'm sure there's something involving that.
I don't know, something along those lines. Even a bigger brand. Let's say
National Beef Council and have it say beef on it. Why would you?
Yeah, National Beef Council would be funny. But let's for instance, let's say Staples. Let's just throw out Staples. I would have their logo is known for its bright redness. I would make it purple.
Yeah. That's a good point though. You need to take that into consideration if you're doing the jersey patches. I know when you look at like the NBA or the NHL that have the jersey patches and the MLB has had them.
And Kansas City's, it's pretty silly.
The quick trip one,
and it's red.
You got to take that into consideration. I know, like Colorado Avalanche, they got, I think, IMA, some kind of investment firm, as a jersey sponsor, but they made it a white logo, so it blends in with the jersey. So it's not this weird thing. I know, like the LA Kings, they went with something that's just white, so it's white on the black, so it blends in with the jersey pretty well. But Ibotta being the jersey sponsor for the Pelicans with a pink logo, kind of a weird move there, right?
Right. I don't know. I mean, I think it's something along those lines would be my first move as AD. You know, just something to if I'm not, doing the obvious stuff. But I think something cutting like that would be really cool. I think the first ones to do that. There might be already somebody that's done it, but I think this is a new rule.
Yeah, and LSU was the first one, I think, in the Power Four to go for it. I forget who their sponsor is, but it's some Louisiana thing. But yes, I'm doing that, but I'm taking it a step further. I'm maximizing the potential revenue with court field sponsors for every sport. We're doing women's tennis. We're doing, I don't even know if you would be legally able to do this, but can you do, how in baseball at the baseball diamond, you've got like the sponsor on the back of the mound. Can you do a bunker sponsor at Colbert Hills and have it be like your logo's in the sand?
In the sand.
It's about the purple sand. Like,
you're going to have to get it unless there's some really good golf being played. You're going to have to get that. You're going to have to get
Carla Burnett.
Well, I'm saying, like, if they're out there hitting your bunkers all the time, your sponsorship logo is not going to be there much longer. It's going to be pretty beat up.
No, mostly joking on that one, but seriously, Bill Snyder Family Stadium needs a field sponsor. The tennis courts, if you can do something on the tennis courts, if you can do something with the track and field facility, if you can do something with Bramlage, sell the naming rights to Bramlage. I know you may not be able to necessarily do something with Bill Snyder Family Stadium, but you could take the approach that like the Chiefs have with GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. I know it used to be, or maybe still is. I'm not sure if the Wagner Field name is still a thing at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, but you could do, the Shamrock Trading Wagner Field at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. It gets a little convoluted, but you have to be able to drive this revenue. And I don't understand why we've, 2 years ago, Gene Taylor was talking about selling the naming rights to Bramlage and getting the blessing from the Bramlage family to do so. Why have we not done it yet? Why do we not have a court sponsor yet? Not every other team in the Big 12, certainly, but Iowa State has Mid-America Energy or whatever. They are a sponsor on the field at Jack Trice Stadium. You've got other teams doing this already. Why have we not done it yet? Yeah. We can't talk about $18.5 million buyouts for ex-basketball coaches and not be trying to pursue whatever we can to try to maximize the revenue streams that are available to us. So if I'm AD, even just for one day, I am working on securing as many of those sponsorships as humanly possible, knowing that some of those conversations have probably taken place. I'm doing jersey patches. I'm doing all of that stuff. I agree with a lot of fans in that it's not the most visually appealing thing, but that's the way you have to go in this current landscape of college athletics. So that's where I would go with my first move specifically. The next question I have is where would you invest more dollars into? This could be a specific sport. This could be a specific facility. We're going to get more into specific facilities and things. This could be, increasing the salary pool for specific sport, whether it's football, basketball, whatever. Like, what areas would you invest more of your own existing dollars into if you're the AD?
Oof, that's tough. I mean, obviously the money generator and the biggest brand is football. You're a little it's just crazy the landscape of sports where we're at in terms of like the public opinion of where the Big 12 is in terms of pecking order. You can invest as much as you want. Obviously, Texas Tech did that. They are investing the NIL dollars, and I think until the rules are settled, I think it has to be NIL. Now that I think about it, NIL is obviously the king, and that's where you're investing all of your money. I think you have to if you want to be top echelon. But Texas Tech is doing that, and they're still considered a lesser program. So maybe at this point, you stay competitive, but you don't, I don't even know what the term would be, sell the farm on like completely going in on this and, still be in the public opinion considered a lesser than. So it kind of is all for naught. I mean, unless your plan is, you want to be the number one team in the Big 12 and, it for however much we want to say it, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to dominate this sport. It's just, it kind of is what it is at this point until something changes along the lines of, maybe pooling all revenue together from these TV contracts because these schools are just making so much more money than the average Big 12 team or even the top Big 12 teams that you're at a lesser advantage. And but I would invest in NIL. I mean, if you want to win now and in this landscape, you have to be 100% in that. And so NIL for both sports and all sports really, that's what's driving the better teams. And that's just the facts of it.
I think I agree with you. I think if I'm trying to think maybe a little bit outside of the box here, I would invest in, and again, I'm not an AD. I know a couple of guys who have been ADs over the years, but I haven't had like in-depth conversations with them around like what an investment looks like when you talk about, let's say you want to do a home and home series with Nebraska or Oklahoma, like get some of those regional rivals back into the fold that used to be old Big 8 teams. I don't care as much about Missouri. We also did play a game with them recently, so that's not super top of mind. But if you could invest in some of these regional opponents, like in Oklahoma, like in Nebraska, like in Iowa, even, or Minnesota, like exposing the fan base to other regions, other areas, like you did with Dublin, you showed that KState fans are going to travel no matter where the game is going to be. If it's on a different continent or if it's stateside, fans are still going to go to those games. I think it'd do a lot to provide some more exposure to K-State as a brand to be able to have some marquee matchups with some of those Big Ten teams if they're amenable to it, with some of those SEC teams. Like, we had the Auburn one, we had the Miami one. I think those two were successful, but I want to have more of those mid-tier Big Ten teams. If I'm being honest, I would like to have Iowa or Wisconsin on the schedule because we've never made a trip there. I would like to have a Michigan State on the schedule. I feel like those would be really fun types of games to invest in. But obviously, Nebraska, Oklahoma, those would be some really fun games to get back on the schedule in some sort of capacity. And I think from a dollar standpoint, again, if we're trying to lean into maximizing revenue potential, you're going to get fans. It's going to be shitty, but you're going to get fans from both of those fan bases that are going to fill up a significant portion of your stadium, whether you want them to or not. That's going to maximize some of the dollars that you have at your disposal if that's on the resale market or even your own fans' pockets are going to be able to take advantage of some of that. But I would invest in some of those more regional types of opponents. And then the second piece is with these early season basketball tournaments, I want to again, I don't know what you have to invest in order to be a part of that. I know the Players Era is going to be a good next step for us to be able to participate in that, but we've never played in the Maui Invitational, at least as far as I can remember. Battle for Atlantis, some of those other tournaments that get more eyeballs and have more marquee brands participating in it. I don't think there's any reason why K-State can't participate in those types of tournaments instead of having to play in a high school gym in the Bahamas. Like, who cares about that? Who cares about Baha Mar? Like, I don't care. I don't care about that. Like, whatever. So those are the two areas that I would maybe invest more, even if it's not a dollar investment. Invest more time in building those relationships with those other ADs in order to secure some of those types of opponents, both for football and for basketball. And I feel like they've done a good job with it on the women's side with some of the things that they've done in the early season tournaments. The baseball team has done a good job of getting exposure in some of their early season kind of the Arlington game that they just played for baseball, the Arizona games that they just played for baseball. I feel like some of the other sports have done a good job of it. It's kind of two different things, but that's a couple areas where I would invest some more time into.
How far out are we in football schedules? I think, are we out to 2030 something? 2032 maybe?
Yeah, but even then, it's not totally decided because some of the I don't know. Like, let me take a quick peek.
I feel like we have a Washington State. Obviously, we get Washington State this year, but we have we go out to Pullman. I feel like we have
NC State,
Oregon State. That's a home.
So when you're thinking Power 4, NC State's really the only actual Power 4 team that we have scheduled, and that's scheduled out to 2032. So honestly, when we went back, even 6 years ago, we had a lot of these games already scheduled through. I think 2026 is what I had looked at, or 2025 maybe is what I had looked at when Kleiman had took over. Like, the Army game was already on the schedule, I think, for quite some time. Mississippi State had been on the schedule. Like, when I was a student, they scheduled that home and home. Thanks, Kirk Schultz, for that. I guess thanks, Kirk Schultz, for Washington State as well. But, we have the opportunity in 28, 29, 2030, 2031, and 2032. I mean, 28 for sure, because we only have Texas State on the schedule. I don't consider Wazoo or Oregon State Power 4 anymore. So in theory, you could add a Power 4 opponent to that. I think whether you want to or not, because it's a loophole, but I think it would be fun for the fans to be able to add something in each of those years. And then, NC State is really the only home and home we have with a true Power 4 opponent that's been scheduled out.
Yeah, I would. I mean, obviously, what you were going over is absolutely the perfect scenario. I think that builds up, the hype for the season when you get a non-con game that's really competitive, that could be potentially competitive, and their players and fans are going to be invested in, because whether the players are coming from that area, or the fans have something to a vested interest in it outside of just rooting for their own team. You got to schedule well. And it makes me think of the basketball, how Marco was the guy that was reaching out to teams just like the year prior, like, hey, you want to jump on this schedule real quick? We need a couple more play. I hope we're doing a little bit more than that, obviously, and I hope it's not that simple. But you never know. I mean, maybe it is just you reach out and be like, hey, Michigan State, I know you got a vacancy in 2028. I know it's short notice, but hey, you want 2 years from now, you want to start a home and home in 2028 and 2030? I mean, why not? That would be cool. I mean, obviously, Michigan State is not the top one that you're looking for, but a Nebraska, like you said, now this isn't Power 4, but let me just throw this out there. Would it be fun to try to resurrect some demons with North Dakota State coming back to the FCS level?
That's right. They've been elevated. They're going to be a Mountain West team.
Yes.
You bring that up when you think about, they're going to be in a little bit of an adjustment period So it's going to be interesting to see how they make that transition. I don't know if I would go out so far as to schedule them necessarily. I think we need to get another UT Martin, the Skyhawks on the schedule again. Yeah.
But it
is an option now. It is an option now.
For sure. I think that would be super fun. I think that one would stir up some shit. That one would stir up some shit, and I would be here for it. But yeah, the scheduling is something that they can handle, and I think they should.
Yeah. Moving, I guess, real quick. We're at about mid-pod. Let's do the mid-pod. Heartland Beef Connection ad read. Folks, we're not talking about grocery store beef. As I put the QR code on the screen. There we go. QR code on the screen. That'll take you to heartlandbeef.net. Yes, folks, we're not talking about grocery store beef. Heartland Beef Connection connects Kansas and Midwest ranchers and families with each other, with one another. There's no middleman. There's no industrial processing, and there's no mass-produced beef. A lot of these ranchers are located in Kansas, and of course, plenty of them are K-Staters themselves. Same values, same work ethic, just doing it out on the land instead of in athletics, which matters a lot to me as a sixth-generation Kansan myself. Paul, friend of the program, started Heartland Beef Connection to help support Midwest ranchers by matching them directly with families looking to buy quarter, half, and whole beef shares. You know where your beef comes from, how it was raised, and who raised it. Here's the part people don't expect. Not only does this beef taste better, it's actually cheaper per pound than grocery store beef when you buy directly from the source. Better quality, more transparency, and you're not paying for the middleman. If you care about supporting Kansas agriculture, keeping your money local, and eating beef that actually tastes the way beef should, this is the way to do it. Here's the best part. Because you're listening to Cocaine Willie, you can get $25 off the Heartland Beef Connection match fee when you mention the podcast or use code CW25. That's code CW25. Check out Heartland Beef Connection at heartlandbeef.net or on that QR code on the screen. Real beef, real ranchers, better beef for your money. Chef, my question for you this week.
Okay.
What is a beef dish that you have never had or never made, but would like to have or make on your own?
Never. Okay, so never had and never made are two separate categories because I
answer both.
Okay. Never had.
It's the same answer.
For me, I've made a beef Wellington.
That was going to be my answer.
I've never sat down and ate it though.
Okay.
I'm sure it's fantastic. I think it's a little posh. I think it's a little overrated, in my opinion. The beef is probably the most integral part of it. The puff pastry kind of just does what it does. The mushroom driscoll is, it's an interesting part to it. And then prosciutto, I mean, you're really just layering on things that it just screams decadent, and it's kind of overrated in my opinion. I would try it though. I would definitely want to. But I've made plenty in my time as a chef. What I would want to make, I think if I could choose like the finest, I wonder when you're making pho. Because I would use a bunch of different parts of the cow or the beef to make this whole process with a nice beef stock, a nice all that stuff, and using different cuts. But I wonder what the best cut for the shaved thin pho beef would be in there. I would imagine maybe like a ribeye, but I don't know if you want it too fatty. I'm not sure what they even use in that, to be honest.
I've seen like flank steak or flap steak used for that as well. But it's shaved super, super thin. And yeah, ribeye. I've seen ribeyes.
I would love to do that. I've never made that before. I've only had it. So yeah, give me a beef pho too. Why not? I would love to know what people's comments, if there's any that's Vietnamese, isn't it?
Yes.
Vietnamese. I would love if any Viettes are in the comments. Tell me what kind of beef they're using.
Had a lot of Vietnamese friends growing up in Wichita. There are a lot of Vietnamese in Wichita. It's fantastic. The pho is great. Going over to friends' houses and having homemade spring rolls, like with the rice papers. Just, yeah, Vietnamese food is one of my favorites. Banh mi's. Yeah, I could eat that stuff all day. Yeah. I have made pho.
Baby.
I have made pho. I haven't made it with beef though. So that's going to be my next. That's gonna be my next thing. I don't know if I can slice the beef that thin though. So if you've got any
slicer,
pointers,
brother.
Yeah, I don't have a slicer. Chef Jet Tila has recommended throwing the meat once it's thawed, throw it in the freezer for like 40 minutes, and then that'll firm it up enough to where you can shave
hand slice it.
Yeah.
I've seen the problem is I think for pho you want like real like big strips, real super thin, big wide strips. Because I've seen people that need shaved steak, they just get like a frozen piece of meat and then just actual like a not a grater, but what's the word I'm looking, like a peeler, like a random peeler that you would peel an apple with, and just peel the outside of the meat and just get real thin strips. They're not very wide, but
yeah. Got to be a sharp peeler too. All right, that's plenty of food talk for the night, but I do enjoy the food talk. Which stadium and facilities upgrade would you target first?
I mean, I feel like that I don't know. I feel like I kind of answered this. I mean, I would if I'm being just silly. Obviously the football stadium. Now, one thing that like irks me, and it's not like a big deal, and it's not even really an irk. It's just I find it interesting that we do our walkthrough through the parking lot, and there's like really nothing there. It's just random guardrails, and I mean the parking lot. It's just a parking lot, and they drop the kids off, and then they walk into the front of the stadium, and they with the fans and all that stuff. I like how West Virginia does it. They go through the parking lot, but it leads into like stairs where everybody's surrounded it. It's not necessarily just in the middle of the parking lot. So maybe if like a lead into the stadium is, if that's a possibility. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know. I think that's what I would do. I would try to be necessarily just make. Is it a concourse? Is that what that would be called?
Let's combine these ideas. So
okay,
my biggest issue with Bill Snyder Family Stadium, and it's strictly an aesthetic thing, is that you've got Veneer and the West Side that have this castle-like architecture, and then you've got the side that was finished in 1998. That's just they've made a couple of improvements through the years to make it look a little nicer, but it's just stands. Like I would like to close it off and go with a similar architectural design or theme.
You're talking on the east side?
So you could have those, castle-looking, Nichols Hall-looking spires on the east side, close it off, and then you have like a nice architectural landscape architect students from KState can design it. It can be part of a capstone project for them. #1 landscape architecture school in the nation, by the way. You could build these limestone, like you could build these planters, like a little walkway through. You could have purple flowers in these little flower planters, and have it be on both sides, and have the players can walk in through there.
Yeah,
go just kind of to the north of the new training, like the practice facility, as they walk. Because
the indoor's right. The indoor is connected over there to the east side, right?
No, it's a standalone building, but it's adjacent to it.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out where, because I don't think I've been to the stadium since the indoor's been up.
But I guess maybe that would be too much because they built the indoor facility, and that has that kind of limestone look to it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm rethinking this a little bit.
No, I like the walkway idea, because maybe, man, I would love to have, just like let's get some AI renderings going. I would love a good AI rendering. But I think they need to do something with how the players walk in, because that is such a big social media push that they put out there. And I love seeing the young fans, families that are seeing their, sons get ready for a football game, and they're out there front row, and, they get a hug and a high five. I just think it's a little not tacky. Tacky is a bad word to say for that, but it's just they're out in the middle of the parking lot. And I think more can be done to, zhuzh it up, if you will.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'll use my company's money to create a ChatGPT rendering of what this could look like. So yeah, we'll do that. All right, moving on. So I think I'm gonna skip the next two here. I want to move on to rev share distribution and dollars. So we've got a number of different sports that we sponsor, that we participate in, notably football, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, men's and women's golf, men's and women's track and cross country, women's rowing, women's tennis, and women's soccer. When you look at the distribution for each of those sports, football is about 30% on average for most Power 4 institutions, which is about $6-ish million. Men's basketball is about 21% on average across Power 4. It's $4.3 million. Women's basketball, 1.7 million, 8%. Volleyball, 5.6%. That's 1.1 million. Track and field, surprisingly, 11.2%, but I think it's due to the size of the team and the amount of scholarships that are involved with that. It's 2.2, almost $2.3 million. Women's rowing, 1.4 million.
Really?
Women's soccer, 2 million. Women's tennis, 861,000.
Really?
And then men's and women's golf are 287,000 each.
What?
I guess in the grand scheme of things, I feel like golf, all the facilities already exist. You're really just traveling and sponsoring travel, and then you've got the athletes on the team and the equipment. So kind of funny to think that golf might be the smallest amount.
I know, if you're asking me which one am I promoting up and which one am I giving more to, no offense to women rowing. I mean, absolutely zero offense. And I mean this with all due respect. Golf, you cannot quadruple up golf with women's rowing. You just can't. Cannot do that. And I hate that, because honestly, rowing is one of my favorite exercises. But
really?
Yeah, I love a good row. Love a good row. Sitting on that machine, I think it's hilarious trying to get into the motion. I think it's funny. But rowing, I've never seen a Kansas State competitive rowing match at all.
Me either.
And we've had women's golfers on our, program that have done things at the Masters. You just cannot let that happen. And I would invest into golf way more. I mean, collegiate golf is on TV.
Yeah.
I can't say that I've seen women's rowing anywhere outside of the internet, and I think you could find anything on the internet. So, I'm investing in golf way more. Women's and men's golf. It has to be a priority in my book. Maybe because I am a golfer and I'm biased, but I'm gonna let my bias show.
Well, the thing is, again, not to poo-poo the women's rowing team by any means, but when you look at men's and women's golf, people know who Carla Bernat is. Mm-hmm. People know that, Ricky Fowler and Victor Hovland went to Oklahoma State. There's an association there when people graduate and then make it to the tour, whether it's the LPGA or the PGA or LIV or whatever. So I feel like that's an opportunity for branding. It's an opportunity for you to get your name out there as an institution and draw more interest. Again, you're not necessarily getting as many eyeballs on men's and women's collegiate golf as you are on the Masters or the PGA, but it is at least an association that you can have with your institution when you look at a player that's on the tour maybe it is worth investing a little bit more in scouring some of the talent that's going through some of the amateur circuits and things like that. So I'm with you on that. Also, I do have to share, this is the really shitty rendering that that ChatGPT came up with. So
Okay.
I'm gonna share this here.
A shout out to Robert Streb. I think he hasn't been nowhere near as successful as like we said, Victor Hovland or a Ricky Fowler, but that is a Kansas State alum that is on the PGA Tour that has been doing, he's been making, not recently, but he is a Kansas State alum that has been on the tour for a while. And, we got to give him more love. We got to make it more prominent and make it more acceptable and more prestigious to be a Kansas State alum golfer.
Yeah.
But these renderings are sweet. Holy crap.
It's horrible. This is horrible. No, look at this. So on the
what's going on with that bottom picture?
On the top image. The top image, they are showing stands on the opposite side of where the field is. This shows you how bad AI is. The second image, basically what I asked for was I want to retain the existing stands, not eliminate because this effectively eliminates the upper deck and then replaces it with something that would more or less mirror the west side. That's not at all what I'm looking for here. I also don't think we need stands looking out of the parking lot personally, but this is AI's not very smart.
As a avid people watcher, I would like that.
Yeah, you can see everybody, because we haven't gotten rid of exit reentry yet. So you can see everybody, post gaming the first half in the parking lot
out there.
When I was going through this, I was also very surprised at the allocation for. I was surprised at the allocation for women's soccer being more than volleyball. When you talk about non-revenue, and again, this is not KState's allocation. This is just what, on average, different allocations are across Power 4, based on a handful of different sources, not ChatGPT. The allocation for women's soccer being higher than women's volleyball doesn't really make sense to me. Volleyball gets a ton of viewers. I couldn't tell you where to find women's soccer matches to save your life. Plus, when you're looking at popularity of sports, soccer has become a more popular sport, but volleyball is 10 times more popular than women's soccer is, at least at the collegiate level. When you're talking about, they're broadcasting games on regular ESPN and ABC for women's volleyball. Maybe not ABC, but ESPN, ESPN2, Fox Sports 1. So you're getting a lot more eyeballs. It's becoming more of a revenue sport when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. Women's soccer, I don't know who's even good at women's soccer. I can tell you who's good at women's volleyball. Nebraska, Wisconsin, Texas, Illinois,
Penn State,
without a doubt. So yeah, it's not like women's soccer matches, again, not to poo-poo the sport. Women's soccer matches are not drawing, 80,000 people to attend it like it is in Nebraska for a women's volleyball match. So
I think it's obviously there's different components to that. I know that you can play soccer in the wintertime, and it is a false, I guess that's considered a fall sport. Yeah, and but it's predominantly southern states that are playing. I feel like that's where the good soccer teams are at. I feel like the Carolinas, I feel like Carolina's good at soccer. Maybe some Texas schools are good at soccer. I think volleyball is more of every place has women's volleyball. I feel like that's a nationwide women's sport.
Yeah, I agree. It can be, it's not weather dependent, none of that stuff. There's a lot more. Volleyball's a funny sport because it's volleyball right now, I feel like, is more similar to how women's basketball was 10, 15 years ago, where you have kind of that tier of 5 to 8 schools that are always in the top 5 to 8. And then it's, you've got everybody else, but there's more and more parity growing with volleyball. So I feel like it's taking a similar trajectory to women's basketball. It's growing in popularity. I would certainly invest more energy and effort in volleyball, especially if that percentage distribution is accurate. This is a fun question. So Penn State this past year, they went after the number 1 guy in collegiate hockey. Penn State is not a hockey school. They're not known for hockey. They've not historically been very good. The Big Ten only added hockey as a sponsored sport about 10 years ago, I think. So not historically like a huge deal. There are some Big Ten schools that were part of other conferences like Michigan State, for instance, Michigan. But Penn State, they went all in on NIL rev share with Gavin McKenna to go after the number 1 prospect in hockey. And it seems to be paying off for them. They're a top 10 team in hockey this year as a result of this. Gavin McKenna has been a stud at the collegiate hockey level. So the question is, if we had to strategically elevate one non-revenue sport for branding or clout to go all in on that thing, maybe go after the top 1 or 2 prospects, and you're just saying we're throwing these percentages out the window. We're taking a couple extra bucks from men's basketball because they're starting fresh with a new coach. We are going to invest this, and we're going to go all in on track and field or whatever. What would be the sport that you are investing in for branding or clout purposes?
For me, I mean, I would for clout. I think track is the answer because I feel like you can get an individual national championship there. We don't have hockey, or I mean not hockey. If we don't have wrestling, or I would go in for wrestling. That's where I would spend, just try to get the best 2 wrestlers in the country and win you a national championship at 140 pounds and 126 pounds, something crazy like that. And because those guys, I know maybe it's rare. Maybe I'm just not involved in the wrestling community as well as I should be, but it feels like there just comes along where these guys are constantly, I'm a 4-time All-American in wrestling. Like, these guys are dominating from their freshman season, and they all stay. Obviously, there's really no professional wrestling to get involved in, but these guys and they're faces of programs. Like, you might not know them, but I mean, in the wrestling community, they are big deal. And it's in this area, in Kansas area, the Midwest in general, that is a big deal. Wrestling. If we had wrestling, that's where I would go. But I would go track as well. I think track. I love that we kind of have this. Like, we are the school. We're high jump university. I like that. I love that shit. I wish we could. I mean, if we get the number 1 high jumper out of high school every year for the next 10 years, give me that. Give me when we had, what was his name, man? Went to the Olympics. He won silver at the Olympics.
Eric Kennard.
I mean, I love that. I mean, track is such a Olympic sport that if you get the best guy and then he can make his way onto a grand stage like the Olympics, I think that's worth it. I
saw Eric Kennard on campus a few times. We overlapped as students, and that's pretty cool to think about. And I feel like, obviously with football and basketball right now, a lot of these student athletes aren't necessarily going to class on campus, but track and field, like, we had a track and field athlete in my fraternity. Like, you see these guys on campus, these guys and gals on campus pretty frequently. Like, they're a big team. There's a lot of people on it. Like, you run into track athletes and interact with them probably more than you do any other athletic, or I guess sponsored sport on campus. So it's interesting. I would probably go baseball. I would probably go baseball because I feel like,
well, yeah,
if you
I guess that's
if you
true too.
if you put all your eggs in one basket and you get the top pitching prospect or the top, it could be an
First
outfielder
base
that's just, I mean, the dude's just ripping jacks. He's got like a 700 slugging per whatever, like just doing insane stuff at the high school level or the club level.
The collegiate baseball, you have to be there for 2 years, right? Before you can declare.
I believe so. Yeah, the rules are weird. They're weird.
They're different.
They're different.
Because I know when you can declare out of high school.
Yeah,
you could declare straight out of high school, and then I think you can go. Even if you declare, you can go to college, but you have to be there for. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure, but I think baseball is a really good pick. I mean, like you said, you can make that if you've got the number one prospect out of high school and he was teetering on being a first round pick or a top like 15 pick in baseball, those guys go to college a lot. And if you could find a way to get him, $2 million for the next, like every year for the next 2 years, why not? Why not? Let it fly, baby.
And here's the deal. You look at some of the programs in baseball who have won national championships or been to the College World Series. You've got Wichita State has a national championship in baseball from 1989. You've got, what was it, Coastal Carolina that won a couple of years back. I mean, you've got smaller programs.
I remember when I was in high school, it was like Long Beach Poly, like
Long Beach State.
Yeah, I mean those schools.
Cal State Fullerton.
Those schools rocked at baseball.
Yes.
I mean, obviously,
UC Irvine. UC Irvine made a couple of college
era. It's a different era, but I can. That's a quick way to get a natty.
And it would be in that top 3 of revenue sports, which that everybody keeps dogging on us on, including Missouri fans. And the only national title they have is in baseball. So, congratulations to them for being able to celebrate something that happened.
KState got a
1950. Yeah, I saw that. What was the final? What was the final score?
65-63. I feel like we were up like 12 at one point and then blew it.
Well, gonna have to find the recap on that one. Only a couple more questions. So you have to choose one Final Four or one college football playoff appearance. And this is just an appearance in the CFP. We're not talking about a deep run necessarily. This is just you make it into the 12-team field. Which one do you choose and why? And how equally or unequally do you view those two things? Because when you look at the revenue payout, because all that gets distributed to the conference and each individual member equally in the Big 12, you're really diluting that $8 million of Big 12 payout to like $500,000 per school. Which when you get into like the Final Four appearance, on average, Big 12 schools are making relatively deep runs pretty much every year, but based on the units, it all kind of ends up equaling out. So the revenue wise, it doesn't make a huge difference. It might be a couple $100,000 difference, but it's not a drastic difference in the grand scheme of things.
Okay. Can I get some like oddly specific things just for a Kansas State perspective?
Sure.
Are we at home for that Kansas State playoff, college football playoff?
Why not?
I think that makes a huge difference. I think a Final Four is like, okay, Final Four is probably the leader in the clubhouse, but I think if you get a home game and you're not guaranteeing me that we lose, and it's not just for sure one game in the college football playoff, and I get a home game at college football playoff and a chance to win and go on to the next rounds, I'm going to take probably football. Being a college football playoff winner is a really big deal. Now you're down to the final 8. I think that's crazy. I think that's really good for the program. That's really good for the university. I don't know anything about the revenue like you were talking about, who gets what, how much is distributed. But I think just from a branding, winning a college football playoff game at home is monstrous. That would be awesome. A Final Four, though, is really, really, really cool. It's really cool. I think it needs to be somewhere other than Indianapolis. Ugh, yuck. I don't like.
Yeah.
I hate when it's in Indy. That's
What if the
gross.
Final Four is in the brand new Arrowhead Stadium in the Legends in Kansas City?
That's pretty sweet. Is that big enough though? Is that big enough?
It will. Yeah. Yeah, it will be, of course.
Oh man, that's an indoor facility.
It's going to have a dome.
The Chiefs Stadium's gonna have a dome.
It's going to have a dome. Where have you been? How have you
Dude,
not
I have no idea.
The 300-page long KState Online thread on.
I have not looked at
the
that
Chiefs
one
relocation.
second.
Oh my god.
Okay, man, that would be monstrous. That would be awesome. So I'm really waffling here, but I'm gonna go college football playoff.
Okay.
With a chance to win at with a home game. Yeah, give me that.
Yeah,
the problem with that is I hope you've won 4 games in the NCAA tournament, which is so fun, dude. That is so fun. Just from those Elite 8 runs, I mean, those are so magical. It is literally called the magic of the tournament is real. It's awesome.
It is.
But I'm going to go college football playoff.
Okay. Yeah, I struggle with this one. I have a hard time making this decision because I feel like the Final Four has a lot more nostalgia because it's been around my entire life. I've watched Final Fours as long as I can remember watching basketball. CFP, it's this new shiny object, so that's kind of fun. That's kind of cool, but it doesn't have as much of that allure as the Final Four does for me. So I feel like my heart is telling me the Final Four, but my brain is telling me the CFP, if that makes any sense. I feel like the CFP would do more for K-State in general, as a community, as a brand, as a program from a football perspective. But
think of the banner that's in Bramlage now.
That's true.
You don't get banners for college football playoff appearances.
No, and you don't get logos. You don't get logos for Elite Eights.
Right. That's true.
So the CFP though, I feel like it's funny because we would have made so many of these CFPs in the past had they had a 12-team playoff. So it is kind of funny. I mean, we would have had multiple. I mean, 2014 you would have appeared, 2012 you would have appeared. 2011 you would have had a shot to appear because we made the Cotton Bowl that year. 97, 98, 22. So there's a few years to 03. You would have had an opportunity to make the CFP a number of times. So it is kind of funny to think about it in retrospect. So, do you hold some of those New Year's 6 bowls from the past at 2000, the Cotton Bowl against Tennessee? Do you hold some of those in a similar regard as you do to the Final Four if you're putting those in a similar
I don't know. I don't know. Now that you say it like that, I don't think now if you had it, because now you're having to have those teams play more games. And I think the allure of those teams, well, some of them, is that they went out on top. Like they were really, really good teams, and they made that game, and that was their final game. And then they didn't have another game where they were also a Sugar Bowl team and all that stuff. I think there's the nostalgia of like back in the day when you had one game and that was it. That was your final game. I think there was something to that. The Final Four, man, that is, I don't know. I think I'm going to go college football playoff. Like you said, with my brain, I'm going college football playoff, but my heart, it does scream like, man, you want to be a Final Four team in basketball. You're playing really good basketball, and you've probably had to beat some really good teams, maybe potentially.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So I'm gonna skip the last 2 questions. These are I don't know. They're kind of fun. We're already over. I'm not planning on going anywhere. Coaching decisions. So you're AD for a day. You have to fire one head coach not named Matthew Driscoll. You have to. There's no option not to. Who are you going to fire and why? This could be across any sport. And I could tell you my answer if you're not ready.
Whoa, hold on. So it's not just a basketball thing.
Excuse any coach. But you have to fire one coach.
It could be an assistant.
One head coach. One head coach.
I mean, women's volleyball guy? Was it Mulberry?
Yeah, Mansfield? Jason Mansfield? I like
Get him out of here. I'm not firing Pete Hughes. I'm not doing it.
I'm not either. Jordan Smith has been the women's tennis coach since 2018. The man is 65 and 87 overall, and he's 15 and 47 in Big 12 play.
Who the heck
how is he still the coach is my first question. And secondly, I've never really paid attention to women's tennis. Again, it's not a knock on the athletes who are probably doing their best to represent the university, but how is a coach that is that bad in Big 12 play still coaching?
I don't know. That's
8 seasons in.
Is he an old man?
No, he's like a relatively young, like kind of attractive looking man.
I don't know. That's so funny. I don't know.
It looks like he's 40 maybe at the oldest.
Wow. I mean, I didn't know that our tennis program was in shambles like this. I just yeah, get him out of here, dude. Get him the hell out of here. What's his last name?
Jordan Smith, which is a very generic name.
Way to have 2 last names, buddy.
Okay, my last question. You get to add one men's and one women's sport, which we don't have. I think I already know your answer on this. But,
yeah, I'm going wrestling. Wrestling. I love a good wrestling. And women's sports, give me field hockey.
Ooh, okay.
Field hockey. I'm almost tempted to go lacrosse in men's, but I'm going to go wrestling. I think a gray singlet, maybe even a lavender singlet. Absolute nasty work. Give me that. You get some 245-pound giant Kansas bred freak in the heavyweight division pinning somebody in a lavender singlet. Can't get much better than that. And then women's field hockey, I love their little masks that they wear. Real fun sport to watch. Real athletic freaks there too. They get going, they get to moving, and it's a violent. I thought it was a lot less violent than it is, but they're physical. Give me women's field hockey.
So you all know my answer to this is going to be men's and women's ice hockey. Shout out USA, double gold, golden goals in both games. Love the Winter Olympics. Love hockey. And my reason for this is I feel like you have to have both men's and women's hockey in order to justify building a facility for that. If it's going to be just men's, I feel like they wouldn't necessarily want to build a facility for it. But with the excitement around hockey, I feel like you can capitalize on some of the momentum that the NHL has been able to capitalize on with the Olympics and the Four Nations and all that stuff. And when you look at Division I men's and women's ice hockey, there are really only about 63 or 64 teams across all of Division I. So kind of similar to what you're talking about with wrestling, there's a little bit of a power vacuum. There's not really a program in the state of Kansas, in the state of Oklahoma. Nebraska has the University of Nebraska Omaha has a program. They're in the NCHC, but they're not traditional conferences necessarily. The Big Ten's really the only one, but you got like Hockey East. You've got the Denver? NCHC. DU is a powerhouse. They've won, I think, more national titles than any other program. And Michigan, I think, is right on their heels. Michigan's right behind them, or Minnesota Duluth. But it's not traditional powerhouses. It's all these kind of random, geographically, it makes sense that they have hockey types of teams. And then you get Arizona State in the mix. Arizona State has been elevated. They're now in the NCHC. So they're playing in the same conference as the University of Denver, University of North Dakota, Western Michigan, just powerhouse programs that have won most of the recent national titles in hockey. So it's possible. And the path to get there is the same path that Oklahoma State's starting to take, where they've got a team that's in this, Division II of collegiate club hockey. Arizona State took the same path, and I think 3 or 4 years ago they elevated themselves up to the NCHC level. But I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for you to build up a program, build up a fan base with the way K-State fans are embracing a lot of these different types of sports when they're really good. You don't even have to be good at hockey. It's just fun to watch. It's fun to participate in. It's fun to watch. I would be all in on men's and women's ice hockey. And I feel like it could be a really good opportunity for us to do something other than what they're doing with Ahern, to go in and renovate that, turn that into an ice hockey arena. Let's do it. Why not?
Hey, I'm all with you. I mean, you sold me. I mean, it's better than me just talking about guys in lavender singlets. So yeah, give me ice hockey. I'll watch. I'll be all over
that. And my last question. You get to be AD for a day. Anthony Davis. Are you shaving the unibrow or keeping it?
I think he's so secure with his unibrow. I mean, it's a brand moniker for him. I think he has to keep it. I mean, I'm not shaving it. I mean, I'm worried about like keeping my feet healthy, my ankles secure. I'm worried about that. I'm not really worried about facial hair at that point. So yeah, you're going to lose out on millions and millions of dollars if you don't take care of your ankles, brother. Come on.
I'm shaving it. It looks awful.
And he's a wizard now. I mean, his career might be over. Might as well shave.
If Lon Kruger can shave his unibrow, AD can shave his. I'm going to end it with that. Quick shout out also to AJ's Head and Shoulders bottle on Twitter. He wanted a shout out at AJ's Secret Sauce. Super cool guy on Twitter there. That's going to do it for us today. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you did, give us 5 stars on Apple, Spotify, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, like the video if you're watching this. All of that really does help. It's not, we don't just say it just to say it. We're not usually on here begging for you to do that stuff. So we appreciate everybody who has gone out of their way to do that. But every little bit helps. Every little bit grows this pod. And maybe we'll make it to 300 episodes after a couple more seasons if you guys are willing to do that. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, Auntie, Mays, Parlor, and Heartland Beef Connection. Flashing the QR code on the screen real quick for Auntie Mays up there in the corner. And then Heartland Beef Connection, real beef, real ranchers, better beef for your money. Last but not least, CocaineWillie.com. You can buy some of our merch if you want to support the show that way. Wildcat Country Let's Ride merch. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Pairs well with any other, any of your bomber jackets that you might have. Sweatshirts, you can buy that stuff on the website. So check that out, CocaineWillie.com. For Heartland Beef Connection, go to heartlandbeef.net. Use the promo code CW25 for $25 off of your match fee at Heartland Beef Connection. And then visit www.antimaze.com to see a full list of their upcoming events. Be sure to tell them Cocaine Willie sent you. If you go down and tip your bartender, also ask them for a Wildcat Country Let's Ride koozie. We're selling those koozies down there. Finally, we are the K-State representative on the College Huddle, which is the largest community of fan-driven content in the nation. Check them out at thecollegehuddle.com and follow them on social media at College Huddle. And last but not least, you can follow our show at Cocaine Willie on social media or follow us individually. I'm at Bob Trollsby. Chef is at Chef Andre Napier, and Fireball Matt does not like melted cheese. Chef.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, baby.
We are all Coke and no joke, Wildcat Country. That's right.
That's right.
Cats win. Roll Driscoll. Driscoll.
Driscoll, baby.